Sometimes you have a data source and you simply need to know how often things happen, such as the repetition of a certain item in a list. When you have a short list, you can simply count the items. However, when you have a really long list, getting an accurate count is nearly impossible. For example, consider what it would take if you had a really long novel like War and Peace in a list and wanted to know the frequency of the words the novel used. The task would be impossible without a computer. The counter object lets you count items quickly. In addition, it's incredibly easy to use. The example that I will show you creates a list with repetitive values slash items, and using the counter object slash function, we will count occurrences of those items of the list. To use the counter object, you must import it from collections. If you want to import the whole library, you can just say import collections instead. First, follow along with me, then I will explain. So we will say list count equals counter my list, then we will print list count. The reason I saved this statement in a variable is this statement will generate some new information based on the list we provided. Passed the list as an argument. So I want the new information to be stored somewhere so I can use it later in the program. You will better understand the reason when we execute the code. Here we are just printing the new information. Now let's run the code. As you see, we get this result. Basically, this is the item name and this number represents the number of occurrences of that item. This is like a pair. The comma separates all of the pairs. This is the next pair. This is the item name and this is the number of occurrences of that item. Since this is a small list, you can easily count and check if this information is correct or not. And another benefit of counting and checking is you will better understand what I just said. The example that I just showed you appear without any manipulation or format. The next example that you will learn prints the individual unique elements in my list along with the number of times it appears. We will be using a for loop. I will show you first, then I will explain. For this item in list count dot items, print item, this item index number 0, comma appears, comma this item index number 1. The reason I used the item function is this variable contains this information. To get the results I expect, I use the item function to separate the information into pairs of items and occurrences of those unique items. The first time the loop iterates, the first pair, as you see, will be stored in this temporary variable. You can take the pair as a list like this. Just watch me first. Okay, moving on. Then over here, I just wanted the name of the item. So I used index number 0. Then over here I said index number 1 because over here I wanted the number of times each unique element appeared. I hope this explanation might have answered all of your questions about this piece of code. And if you have any unanswered questions or you are still confused, then please feel free to tell me in the comments or contact me. As you see, I executed the code and this piece of information is now understandable and easy to read. The last example that I will teach you demonstrates how to obtain the occurrences of a specific item of a list using the get function. So we will say print the value 2 appears, we'll put a placeholder times. So as in the value 2 appears 3 times. After this we will say dot format and here we will say list count dot get 2. So the get function is asking the variable list count to give access to the information it contains, which is this, as we already know. So the get function is specifying that give me the information associated with this item, and as we already know, the information is a number that represents the occurrences of an item. In this case, the number will represent the occurrences of the number 2. If you forgot the format function, then here is a simple explanation. This information will replace this placeholder when the code is executed. Placeholders are very useful when we don't know the information. You can watch my video on formatting strings. It will give you a detailed explanation of the format function. Click on the link at the top or find the link down below. Let's run the code. So as you see, we get the desired results.